Welcome back to One of the Trenches podcast. I'm Johnny Jones. He's Patches Kaplan. We're here today to recap Week 10 and preview Week 11, talk a little college football playoff rankings. How we doing today, Patch?
Johnny, I wish I was doing better. I woke up from I worked Friday night, right? And I'm
Okay.
working and I'm so excited. I have been looking at ESPN, the odds, the
Oh,
probabilities all night.
yeah,
I'm so
I'm
excited.
excited for this.
And I wake up or I get home and I immediately go to bed. And I usually wake up about 12:30. And I see a text from you that says, "Screw ESPN. None of
Yeah.
the games are on YouTube TV." And I was
Oh,
still in the daze, didn't really know what's going on. I slept for another 30 minutes. When I get up, there's literally not a single game that it's worth watching on TV. So I just
no.
wanted to use this moment to say, screw Disney, screw ESPN, and screw YouTube TV for botching that on the Friday night before college game day.
I just hate that we're at a point right now where we're reinventing cable. Like we had
Yes.
cable, you got all the channels. And now everyone's streaming everything differently. And I thought
Mm-hmm.
YouTube TV was like the Avengers getting everyone together. And nope, I'm wrong. And it's these
No,
two
no,
big
you're
corporations,
spot on.
YouTube and Disney, they both have a gun pointed at each other and they're just playing chicken. And they don't care, but the people who suffer is us. Because
Yeah, you know
you
what's going
know,
to end up happening is it's going to go up to like $110 a month, and then we're at full cable.
it sucks. Oh no, 100%, and it sucks because it's like you're right. Like Texas Vanderbilt couldn't watch it.
Mhm.
I was wanted to sweat out BC Notre Dame with you. Couldn't watch it. Like, come
No, I
on,
was
you
I
got to
was like in
figure
a
it out.
legit bad mood Saturday. And how many more weeks are you going to give it before you cave and get cable? Because I'm not like I'll give this Saturday. Like this Saturday is my last day of not watching college football, and then I'm going to explore other options.
I think it's got to stop before. I don't know. I don't know. Like
Yep.
Monday Night Football was the same thing. I thought the fact that Dancing with the Stars is Disney, I thought that would have stopped it. Like enough of, I thought they were gonna have both sides, like
The buck
football,
stops
Dancing with
here.
the Stars.
Yep.
I thought both sides were gonna come together and just fight them, but no, I don't know. They have to make a deal, but like it's frustrating because you're right. Like
Oh,
there's
it's so
so like
frustrating. So, to our listeners, if you think anything that we're saying is hodgepodge, just know that Johnny and I didn't get to watch the games live, and we can only thank ESPN and Disney for that.
yeah,
But to recap, Johnny, you and I absolutely sucked picking against the spreads last week.
yeah,
You went
bad.
1 for 8. I went 2 for 8. That puts us both at 27 for 61. We are in the negative. You
We
are currently at
we
11
suck.
cheesecake points. I'm still at goose egg. I picked Cincinnati. That was a
That was
comically bad pick.
that was a wax
Utah's
game.
a really good team that another team that I just don't understand. But we will
Yeah,
dive into that in just a second. Jumping right into it, Johnny, your Nittany Lions played really good in the first half.
they look great. Yeah, I know. The thing about this Penn State team is you can say a lot about them. You know, they've dropped a bunch of games, but the thing about Penn State is they recruit well and they've got a ton of NFL talent like all over the field. Like Vega, the guard, he's gonna be he's a first round pick. They got Denai Dennis Sutton and Zane Duran on the D line, and then both running backs, Nick Singleton, and Katron Allen. Like all these guys are gonna be playing on Sundays, so that's enough to keep you in a lot of games. Like you saw against
Yeah.
Iowa, like and I think this team is like they're really showing up for Terry Smith, the interim coach. I think they have that interim bump where like they're fighting. You know, we're fighting. It's tough without Drew. Ethan Grunkmeyer's trying his best at Q. He's young, but they look good. But it was kind of a testament to how disgusting this Ohio State offense is. And we talked about it before we started recording, but I just don't know how a single team in the country is going to line up against this receiving core. Like you have to put so much attention on Jeremiah Smith, of course. Everyone in America, I think my mom knows Jeremiah Smith's name. Like everyone knows who that guy is. And then if you put him aside, Carnell Tate's the best receiver on any other team in the country. And then
Mm-hmm.
Max Clara, tight end's an all-American guy. It's like this
And
it's
then you couple
so
that with a
hard
quarterback who's throwing at 90% completion rate.
with one
It's
pick, you
unbelievable.
said. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Like this offense is terrifying. And you know, I props to Penn State for hanging in that first half. Second half kind of got out of hand, but like this Ohio State team is very scary. And it's like close your eyes because they might win it all again.
Yeah. He has 2,100 yards, 2,188, 23 touchdowns and 3 interceptions and 90.1 QBR rating.
Gross. Disgusting. Like
he's completing 80.7 yard. He's completing 80.7 of his completions. That's
yeah,
unbelievable. Like
no,
you
he's a
know,
freak. And they give him so much time. Like I said, like Denai Dennis Sutton and Chaz Coleman's a true freshman playing really well for Penn State. And Zane Durant, like the D line at Penn State's good. And
yeah.
he's had so much time to sit back and throw. Like,
I think
I
the
don't know.
only way that people will compete with them is one, if they can get after him within 2 seconds, which there's not many teams who can. And then on top of that, they need to be able to basically completely shut down the run to 60 yards or less. So that way you can have double safeties over the top. So that way you can't get burnt.
And you got to score. You have to score. But then you look at that Ohio State defense, and Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles are studs at linebacker. And they cover that middle of the field so well, and they can shut down the run. And then Caleb Downs, I'll talk about him later, but like Caleb Downs is a freak in the secondary. Like, I don't know. This Ohio State team is looking every single part of the number one team in the country. And you said it very early in the season. I got to give props to you, man. Like, we're not talking enough about Matt Patricia. We're not.
No,
Like
we're not.
this defense is so good in a year that people were like, I don't think the defense is going to be as good as last year. They look better than last year.
I laughed at the hire. When I heard the name, I legit laughed out loud because I was like, that is an unbelievable pick. Super Bowl slump, here we come. And they have proven me wrong again and again. And my concern is that we're going to look back at this team when they go 15 or 16-0 and they win the Natty against whoever it is by 3 touchdowns. They let up 7 points. So we're going to be like, holy cow, that might have arguably been the best team we've ever seen.
Can we start giving respect to Ryan Day? Because I feel like he even won the national championship last year, and everyone was like, well, he didn't beat Michigan. Like, I feel like he still isn't getting respect as a top coach in the game.
And then they talk about like, oh, the reason he has such good wide receivers is Brian Hartline.
It's like,
and it's crazy. What can
like Brian Hartline's a great coach. I want him for Penn State. I want him for Penn State, but
I think he's leading the charge.
Yeah, but it starts at the top with Ryan Day. Like someone's got to be the head coach.
Yeah, someone was able to pay, Brian Hartline enough to stick around. Someone was able to hire Matt Patricia knowing he would do well, and get rid of Jim Knowles and not, admit to himself that Jim Knowles was worth $3 million a year. You think Jim Knowles is gone?
I think it all depends on the hire. I don't know.
Like, is he in talks of being the head coach?
No, I think some guys kind of age out of being a head coach, but like, more than anyone that like college football coaches are really culty in the fact that like I feel like you bring your own guys in. So if I had a bet, I wouldn't bet he's back next year. I feel like you see that more like with position coaches, like running backs, linebackers, like those coaches will stay at universities for like long time, like long periods of time and like survive multiple head coaches. But I think coordinators kind of travel with the head coach. So I don't know.
Yeah, coordinators get just as much heat, if not more heat, lost than the head coach. But, Ohio State looked every bit of the part. Moving on to a team that you and I were talking about before we hopped on about, what is this team, right? They look, they underperform. They keep it close with Kentucky, barely squeezed by Mississippi State. And then they go and drop, 24 points in the first half against Vandy, 24-10.
Yeah.
They look, X play after X play after X play. And for our listeners, an X play is a 20-yard play or more. Granted, none of those were downfield passes, but, Steve Sarkisian's got the boys rolling.
Totally. Like, I don't know how to judge this Texas team because we've been very negative about them, and they've looked bad. That Kentucky game, they looked bad. But this Texas team is slowly coming to form. Like the big thing about Arch coming into the season was that he was going to be better than Quinn just because of how he can extend with his feet. He rushed it one time this weekend. He threw for 328 yards. Like he was slinging the ball. Like, and he was getting it to his athletes like Wisner, Mosley, Wingo. Like he was getting the ball to his playmakers, and that defense has teeth. It was a weird game because I would have shut the game off at halftime. Couldn't even watch the game, but we already talked about that. But they were smoking Vandy, and then they allowed Vandy to come back in the game. They still closed it out. But this Texas team is looking scary. Like this is Sark getting the team going in November, like right before this playoff. So like I don't know. I don't know how to feel about them. What do you think?
No, me neither. And I'm going to give Sark all the credit for that win. I think he schemed a hell of a game. I think that his reputation was kind of on the line here a little bit. That sounds crazy. He's not a coach that's ever talked about being on the hot seat. And I don't think he is. I'm not going to initiate that conversation, but I am going to say that, people are starting to question a little bit. Is he that offensive genius that we grew up thinking he is? Is he able to scheme a team that he is truly better than, but they're playing worse? And we saw that, that first play, what's crazy about that first play that they scored on is they ran the exact same thing against another team. I think Mississippi State this year, and they went for 65, the first play of the game. And then they ran the exact same play against Vandy, went for 75, so I absolutely love what he has going. It's not a team I would want to see in December or January. I can tell you what, I will not be betting on them because I do not know how to read them. But part of me thinks maybe Arch Manning was that hurt and now he's finally back ready to go. I don't know.
One thing about this Texas team that is scary is you can talk about their losses like Ohio State. They played them to a one-score game. The number one team in the country, 14-7. Like, how good is this defense if they're holding Ohio State to 14? We just raved about Ohio State's offense. And then, they lost to Florida. But, hey, Florida lost to Georgia this week, 24-20. Florida's a team. It's weird. Like, they play everyone close.
That was one of the most Bush League plays I've ever seen.
Yeah, we can get into that game. Let's get into that game in a second. But Florida doesn't have the record, but they're a tough team. And I know it's a big if because they closed the season with Texas A&M, and then they got to play Georgia too. But Texas has played everyone close. The Florida loss was a bummer, but that Ohio State loss is aging like perfectly. And I don't know, they've got good wins. They beat now they have Vanderbilt. They beat Oklahoma. Like this is a team that has a good resume. They've got a tough end of the season, but I don't know. They're talented, and that defense is scary.
Yeah, if they can get an offensive rolling, I think that they'll have no problem with the rest of the season. I think they could even upset the SEC scene. One of the things that I struggle with is realizing who is like in the first place, who is in second place for the SEC championship game right now. I believe it is A&M and Bama.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
Okay. So that's kind of where they stand. I could see them throwing a wrench in that by beating A&M. But yeah, not a team I want to play. Moving on to Georgia and Florida, that was a game. Florida played their hearts out. I give them a lot of credit, a lot of talent on that team. There was a lot of emotion in that game. Georgia is, I don't want to sound cliche and just say like they got the dog in them, but somewhere within the program, interweaved like DNA is this notion that they don't lose big games or tight games or close games. They just somehow lean on these teams and then punch out a 3-point, 4-point, 5-point game. And, there were so many opportunities for Florida to win that game and take it. And somehow, some way, Georgia just did not back down. Like there was not an ounce of Georgia, almost like they knew like deep down that they were going to win this game. The script wasn't out yet, but all they had to do was just trust it, and they were going to come out with it.
I just feel like you saw
they've done it so many times.
You saw it in the Tennessee game. You saw it in the Ole Miss game. You saw it in the Auburn game. Like, it's close. And I think when you play that many close games, like Gunnar Stockton just, it's not always perfect. It's not always pretty, but he just looks comfortable. He just looks comfortable in the fact that, like, he's going to get a gritty win, and it doesn't matter how they do it. Like this week, they had to give Zachariah Branch the ball 10 times throwing it. And, hey, we'll win that way. Or maybe we're giving Chauncey Bowens the ball or Nate Frazier. Like, they just have these, like, workhorse dudes that they're going to feed when it matters, and they're just going to kind of get gross and win games. And that's Georgia. And I'm so excited to end the season with Georgia Tech. And I know they lost this week, so it kind of sucks, but the Gunnar Stockton versus Haynes King is just two guys that's going to be just fighting to the death.
That's a 15-round boxing match is what that is.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be awesome.
Pound for pound. It's going to be crazy. But, I really think that Florida should have won that game. They were playing.
I agree. It's a bummer.
For Lane Kiffin's attention, and there was a catch. I don't know if you saw it. But it was like it was a second and 10. They threw it like 50 yards, and he underthrew it by about 5 yards. He dove and caught it. It was called an incomplete catch, not enough evidence to turn it. But if that was the case, they would have kept driving. Ultimately turned it over on downs, 3 drives in a row to end the game. It was really unfortunate. A game that I didn't get to see at all, but it did pique my interest because you and I both picked Tennessee minus 2.5. There wasn't an ounce of me that thought OU belonged on the football field with Tennessee going into Saturday. And then OU came in there and told little bro to sit back down. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, first, I just want to give huge shout out to Tennessee. Those black unis were so sick. And I don't know. I know you said you didn't watch the game, but if you watch that entrance into Neyland, all blacked out, they lit up the tee. So cool. Cinema. That's why college football is the best sport in the world. It's for stuff like that. That's why I like going to Penn State, seeing the whiteout. Like the showmanship was unbelievable. So I want to give a shout out to Tennessee. When Tennessee's good, Neyland Stadium is one of the best stadiums in the country. That place gets rocking. But this was such a great college football game because of the quarterback play. John Mateer and Joey Aguilar are guys that deserve to play college football the rest of our lives. Like these are two gamers. Like Mateer ran the ball 16 times. Aguilar dropped back to pass 45 times. Like that's both those stats are crazy. Like totally ends of the spectrum. But I don't know. I got to give the credit to Oklahoma. John Mateer, just like a winner at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah,
not pretty.
They're not dead yet. They're
Not
not dead
pretty.
yet.
They're
I
not dead. Like,
thought they were.
the rest of their season is disgusting. But with guys like John Mateer and especially guys like Dion Burks, such a dog at receiver for them. Like this is a team that has the athletes to kind of hang with anyone. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, and a lot of their losses have shot themselves in the foot. Like that Texas game, John Mateer, I know he was hurt, but he threw 3 picks. If they can keep the ball in their own hands, they've got the talent. Oklahoma will always have the offensive talent to hang with anyone. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm interested to see another team that could absolutely throw some wrench in some playoffs. They went out; they're going to make the playoffs only with 2 losses. This is the year I'm already calling it now that 5 teams from the SEC get in there. We were talking for a long time.
I agree.
The Big Ten dominating it. The Big Ten has good teams. They are front heavy. We've talked about that in extensiveness. I think that 4 through 7 are actually really, really good teams. And in different years, they would be very high end bowl eligible teams. I think they would even win most SEC matchups. But I think the SEC is too much of a gauntlet this year, and they have to put more respect on some of these teams' names. Georgia Tech, North Carolina State, high scoring game. Defense was non-existent. We knew Georgia Tech was going to drop one. I think the bigger question is how can they finish the ACC? My nightmares are now officially in rotation for the ACC because what is going to happen there, right? Like, is Virginia or Louisville going to dominate the ACC? Like, I don't even know.
Can I give you the nightmare situation for Notre Dame?
No.
Can I?
Yeah, I know what it is.
The nightmare situation for Notre Dame is Georgia Tech missing out on the ACC championship game and then beating Georgia the last game of the season and having 1 loss and a win over Georgia. Because that's the only way the ACC is going to get 2 teams in, is if Georgia Tech doesn't win it, another team wins it, gets the auto bid, and then Georgia Tech beating Georgia and getting it. That's a big what if, but I'm saying you said you were scared. That's the nightmare situation.
I'm not scared, Johnny. I'm terrified. Because I know deep down that if Saturday's kickoff, college game day kickoff, the BYU Texas Tech game is a close game and is a preview of the Big 12 championship, it's likely we're getting 2 Big 12 teams in. In the way that the grossness that the ACC is setting up, I could see it being 5-3-2 somewhere. ACC gets 2 or the Big 12 gets 2. And then 1-1 for the Power 4, but Notre Dame gets left off. We're going to talk about the playoff in great depth in just a few minutes. USC did exactly what I thought they would to Nebraska. Nebraska is now 0-29 against ranked opponents under Matt Rhule. Excuse me. An embarrassing stat. Probably not a guy that you would want up in College Station.
Wait, who?
Matt Rhule.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Sorry, I was confused. College Station. Oh yeah, Texas A&M.
Jesus.
Sorry, I was so confused.
Excuse me.
No. But the guy in College Station is a guy I want in Happy Valley. Mike.
There's just no way.
No, I know. No, he's actually been linked a lot just because he has like PA roots and stuff like that. He's talking. Yeah. They are saying it just because we talked a lot about last week about just like how I think right now it's so much easier to get to 10 wins in the Big Ten. So a lot of people like to run with that and being like, hey, it's probably easier to get to a playoff spot at Penn State than Texas A&M on a regular basis. But Mike Elko has the boys going in College Station right now. But I totally agree with you with Matt Rule. That was a tough loss. That was a weird coaching match of Matt Rule, Lincoln Riley. Those are two guys that needed that win, and you could kind of see it. Total bummer about Dylan Raiola though, especially because I'm seeing Penn State, Nebraska. But I'm pretty sure he's out for the season, and that's yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'll look it up. You keep riffing about the game, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, I love to see that out of USC. I think USC controls their destiny. I think they're our only option to getting 4 Big Ten teams in, and they need to win out. I think that they have every opportunity in the world to ruin some seasons with a really tough win again. If they can get a win against Oregon, they have an incredibly hard. I think they go to Washington, then they go to Iowa, and then they host Oregon in some form and order. So they control their own destiny. I really, for Lincoln Riley's sake, hope he goes 3-0. It would throw such a wrench. I think that could be one of the biggest wrenches thrown in college football is if USC goes 3-0, only has 2 losses, possibly bumps Oregon out of the playoffs and is the 3rd Big Ten team in. I think that would be the biggest wrench on earth. I'm also hoping from a Notre Dame standpoint. Do I see that happening? No, I don't. Do I see some Big Ten chaos? I don't know. It's kind of like that cloud that's sitting there and you don't know if it's going to turn into lightning and thunder or not, or it's just going to blow right by. But
Dylan Raiola broke his fibula. I didn't know what the injury was for sure. He's out for the season. It's a bummer because
been there, done that.
Yeah, get the peg leg going again. Famous peg leg guy, Patches Kaplan.
fall down the stairs.
Any other games you want to talk about? Or do you want to go on to winners?
No, let's move on to the bread and the butter here, the meat and the potatoes.
Okay, do you want me to go winners, losers, then playoff ranking? Or do you want to go
We'll do winners, losers last.
Okay, sweet. Got you. Yeah, got you. Okay,
Matthew sent in some picks, right?
Well, yeah, he did. Of course.
All right, Hater Picks of the Week's back on. So for our listeners, obviously we are not live recording this with the College Game Day show. We wanted some time to digest it and really formulate our opinion. So I'm just going to go down really quick. Johnny, if there's something jumping out at you, just stop me.
So you want to start at 25 and we'll work our way up.
So first things first, I want you to know that, and I don't know if I'm overlooking this, there is not a non-Power 4 team in the top 25 according to the college football playoff, right? I'm not misreading that.
Yeah, you're right, which is crazy because one of them will make the playoff.
Yeah, so you're telling me that the best non-Power 4 team is outside the top 25 is so sickening. The fact that we're even going to entertain that team in the playoffs, I don't know what they could do, and I don't know who it'll be, but I just think that's so stupid that we do that. Let's pick the best teams. Let's have a little bit of a gut punch here. 25, we have Tennessee. 24, Pitt. 23, Washington. Mizzou, Michigan, and at 20, we have Iowa. For reference, Iowa is not even ranked in the AP poll.
Yeah, which I think is a shame because I think Iowa's a good team. I think Iowa.
They punched Indiana right in the face. It's undeniable. Obviously, that's coming off an really tough Oregon win. But, I think that Iowa is a very good team. I think they finally actually got it somewhat of an offense. Of course, they got that Iowa defense. Kirk Ferentz isn't dead yet.
They're like you're a big superhero guy, right? They're like the Bizarro World Big 12 winner every year. Like they never have the offense, but man, that defense is always sickening.
Yeah,
and
they get after always struggle 1, 2, and 3, and then they somehow get it rolling, and everyone just rules out Iowa, and then somehow they upset someone.
I'm not the biggest pick guy, but man, I'm not high on Michigan either, and I say that every week. But Mizzou's a bummer with the bow injury, but Mizzou, Washington, and Tennessee are all teams that are kind of scary. Like those teams all are.
I would say Mizzou does not belong in that conversation. They have 2 losses, both by 3 points. One to the number 4 team in the country, and then one to the number 16 team in the country.
Yeah, but I think just they're talking about the bow injury. Like the bow injury is killing.
Yeah, no, that definitely goes into effect. I think some of these teams are a personal preference thing where there's a lot of bias and subjectivity to it, obviously. But I thought that was interesting. I thought out of all of those teams, Mizzou does not belong in the bottom 25, but I do not put them any higher if that makes any sense.
Okay, one request. I think we should do the 12 because that's in the playoff. the 12. So give me
Yep.
19 to 13. Because my take is I think all of these teams are like, I don't know. Any day they're so black and white. There's no gray in these teams. They show up either they're lights on or they suck for
Yeah.
this next
No,
group.
you're spot on. 19, we have our boys down in Southern California. 18, we have Miami. 17, Georgia Tech. 16, Vandy. 15, Louisville. 14, Virginia. And 13, Utah. Utah just put the stomp down on Cincinnati.
Stomping.
It was embarrassing. I didn't even get to really even follow the box score because of how much of a slaughter it was. What did you think of 13 through 19, Johnny?
Well, I think of the big thing with 13 through 19 is what's the ACC looking like? Because right now in that grouping, you've got Miami with 2 losses, but you got
four teams, 13 through 19.
Yeah, and you've got the huge. So start with that 18 Miami. Miami's looked like the number 1 team in the country at times. You know, that super emotional week 1 win over Notre Dame, and now they're kind of a bummer. Like they just didn't look great against SMU. And then Georgia Tech losing to NC State. Haynes, like this is a good football team. Like they're a tough football team. And then Virginia and Louisville are 2 weird teams because I don't want to say that they're good, but I don't know, their record tells me otherwise. What do you think about Louisville and Virginia? Because Virginia,
I don't trust them. I don't trust anyone in the ACC, and I think that they're going to get a pity vote. In it, low key, this is what I hate about auto bids, is that we're living in a world where realistically, like you're not going to pick, in this made up scenario, the ACC champion is losing, in my opinion, to the top 5 ranked SEC teams. I think the ACC champ loses the top 3, maybe even 4, maybe even 5 Big Ten teams, right? I could see, let's say in a world where Virginia, Louisville, Georgia Tech, or Miami win the ACC. I would take Ohio State, I would take Indiana, I would take Oregon, I would take USC, and I would take Washington over all of those teams.
Yeah, but you say that, but then you look at Louisville and you see a guy like Miller Moss, and you're like, kind of a winner. Like
Louisville's the one that I would not be upset if they won. If you remember way back in the day, they were my dark horse to make the playoff.
Yeah, they were. They're a good team.
2.5-1. But the ACC pisses me off because I know they are obviously going to get a team in. I think this team is garbage. I thought Miami ranked at 18, Johnny, seemed a little bit low. Don't you feel like that's kind of like we were expecting the world out of you. We'll let one slip. But the second one, now we're punishing you with a bottom, 15
I don't get it. I don't get the Miami thing because especially, and we'll get into it when we get into the top 10, but if you're going to put Notre Dame as high as 10, I think you got to bump Miami up because like that win, I know we argue all day about like it was early in the season, but that win has to mean something, and it means more than the 18th team in the country. And I know that SMU loss is just
interesting because it should, I'm obviously going to defend Notre Dame until the day I die, but like
I know, but like
you have to say like they both have 2 losses, they played each other, Miami won. I'm not arguing that Miami should be higher than Notre Dame. I don't think they should be. I think that Notre Dame.
But if you have to believe they should be higher than 18.
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I think that they should be on the fringe. I think that they should be higher than any other ACC team. They have that huge win over Florida. Florida has multiple good wins. They have a huge win over USF. Obviously, the big win over Notre Dame. At the time, and this is where people forget. And this is what that pisses me off is that like we're already forgetting that Penn State was a number 3 team in the nation, and we're also forgetting that Florida State was a top 10 team when Miami went in there and stomped them.
Yeah, no, 100%. I don't know. It's confusing. What do you think about Utah? That's a team I wanted to throw by you.
I don't know, man. Utah is not a team that I would want to play. They're not a team that I would want to see in the playoffs in the sense of if I was coaching against them, they're a very intimidating team. The way that they've been able to dominate some teams, and then the way that they're able to lay some eggs, I just don't understand it. Their path to the playoff is incredibly slim because I believe they need to win out, and then they also need like Texas Tech and BYU to both drop another one to make the Big 12 championship.
It's just so confusing because if we're living and dying by the CFP rankings, BYU is the 7th team in the nation, and they lost by a field goal to them. And I know they dropped an egg to Texas Tech, the 8th ranked team. Like that was bad. That was bad. But then they beat the piss out of Arizona State, who was 21 when they played them, and then they beat the piss out of Cincinnati. Those two wins got to count for something. So, like, I don't know how I feel about them. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and that's what I'm talking about. Like this 19-13, like all these teams on their best day look like the 5th ranked team in the country, and on their worst day, they look like they shouldn't even be ranked. So, like, it's weird.
You could mix up this 13 through 19 in any form or fashion, and I wouldn't argue with you.
I'd be like, you're right. Totally right. Yeah, like it's crazy.
No, that 13, it makes no sense. So that going from 12 to 1, Johnny, doesn't necessarily mean that these are the 12 teams that would have gotten in, simply because we are missing the.
Yeah. So actually, because of that, and there's so much to talk about. How about you give me like 12-6, and then we'll talk about the top 5.
Did they do like a hypothetical bracket? Did they release that or anything?
I'll get the bracket while you
because I'm just curious who they predicted in their rankings to make it from the non-power 4.
Yeah, I'll try to find it.
So to start, we have at number 12, we have Oklahoma University, 11 Texas. That's kind of an intertwined, they're darkness and light type of situation where they can never get rid of each other. 10, we have Notre Dame. 9, we have Oregon. 8, we have Texas Tech. 7, we have BYU. And 6, we have Ole Miss. And what stands out to that one, and I don't know if you can agree with me on this one, Oregon at 9.
I think they're getting disrespected, man.
That's disrespectful.
I think this is such a good team.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've never been able to understand that because they held the number 2. So they've documented, it's very well documented that the gap between 1, 2, and 3, or there's a big gap between 1 and 2, and then there's an even bigger gap between 1 and 3. Is that they held Indiana at home. Obviously, they lost by 2 scores, 10 points. But yet that weight is holding absolutely nothing to Oregon. And obviously they lost, and they lost by two possessions. But like at some point you have to say like they were in that game every single bit of it. And yet you're saying there's 8 teams that are better than them. I don't know. I just don't believe that.
Okay, I'm getting up the bracket now, but no, I totally agree. I think this Oregon team is one of the best teams in the country. Like I know they lost to Indiana, but dude, hey, Indiana looks so good this year. The biggest my takeaway from that chunk you just read me, and you're gonna get mad at me, but like I think Notre Dame's a very good football team, and I think they're a top 12 team. But I just don't know the logic about them above Texas and Oklahoma. I just don't.
Well, Texas has 2 losses too, Johnny.
No, I know, but
1 to an unranked team. Both of ours are ranked.
So are we saying losses mean more than wins? Because
I'm saying
because Texas has beat the hell out of Oklahoma. Well, not the hell, but they beat Oklahoma by what? 3 scores, and then they just beat Vandy. Like they've got a good resume, and even Oklahoma.
They do. I think what's killing them on that one is the fact that they lost to an unranked Florida. A 4-loss Florida gets trumps a good win against Vandy when Notre Dame has 2 losses, 1 to the number 3 team in the nation and 1 to the number 18 team in the nation, possibly our ACC champion and our SEC champion. I think it's undeniable that Notre Dame is the best 2-loss team. I know, but then you can argue that. With that being said, I'm throwing this caveat out there. Is I don't know if I agree that Notre Dame has earned enough to be in the top 10 the way they are.
I'm just saying,
it's like we're trusting our gut with Notre Dame.
That's my biggest thing. I'm glad you said that because that's my biggest thing is we're trusting our gut because I agree with you. I believe Notre Dame's a really great team, but I don't believe their resume is better than Texas or Oklahoma's. And you made your point about Texas, but now I've got the Oklahoma
pound for pound win. If you're comparing wins, Notre Dame does not have.
They can't because look at Oklahoma. Because Oklahoma right now, their 2 losses are to Texas, who apparently they're the 11th best team in the country, and to Ole Miss, who was ranked in the top 10. Yep. But at the same time, they beat Michigan, they beat Auburn, and then they just went into Neyland at night and beat Tennessee. Like, I don't know.
No,
I feel like that has to mean something. I feel like Oklahoma and Texas are kind of being punished. And I feel like this 6-12 ranking, it just confuses me where, like, even like you said about Oregon, like them at 9, like, I don't know. I just don't get how we rank these teams.
No, I think you're spot on. It's funny because, obviously Oregon doesn't have the same type of quality of wins, but their quality of loss was substantially better than Alabama's. Right.
Okay.
Alabama's beaten multiple top 25 teams. That's undeniable. But you're looking at Oregon, who's lost to the number 2 team in the country and has beaten everyone else, is now ranked number 9. But their one loss is to a top 5 team. But, Alabama's one loss is to an unranked team. And it's, I almost wonder if there's recency bias to these in the sense of, like, week 1, right? It was 92 degrees out. It feels like a different life ago that I was sitting in my hotel room watching Miami play Notre Dame. Down in Miami, it was raining. It truly feels like a different life ago. But if that game was 3 days ago, 4 days ago, this would be a whole different conversation. And, I think that plays to Notre Dame's effect. But, I feel like there's a lot of, do they pass the eye test? And with Notre Dame, you get the benefit of the doubt, which I'm obviously very, very grateful for. We've gotten in the playoffs because of benefit of the doubt. But I do sometimes wonder if they're deserving of that. The All-State Playoff Predictor has them at a 35% chance to make the playoffs. DraftKings has them at minus 400, which is implied probability of 82%.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting, and I wonder where the discrepancy is on that. What about Texas Tech and BYU, Johnny? Where do you stand on that?
Okay, I was about to say this to you. I was like, if we're gonna argue this even more, like, I don't get Texas Tech over Oregon because Texas Tech lost to Arizona State and Oregon lost to Indiana. Like, I know Texas Tech has that.
Who is Texas Tech beat?
I guess Utah, but Utah is, like we just said, has been so up and down.
Yeah.
So I don't know. BYU. I'm a big component. Like, hey, Bear Backmeyer, let's ride this train as long as it goes. Let's ride into the station. Like, they've done everything they've needed to do. They beat Utah. They're undefeated. Put them at 7. We're gonna see this week with BYU Texas Tech, right? That's this week.
Do you see what the spread is?
Yeah, it's like, isn't it Texas Tech minus 10? Like, I don't
so
get that at all.
They're ranking them lower. And I know there's no conversation between gambling odds and the community.
I know. I get that.
But you're telling me there's in a non-biased look, right? Vegas. You're telling me there's a 10-point difference, inverse difference between 8 and 9, or 7 and 8. What?
I don't get it. I really don't get that.
We just talked about 13 through 19, where you could jumble them up, throw them in a bowl, shake them around, and pluck each of them out, and you would not argue with any order that they're in. But you're telling me that 8 is a favorite over 7 by 10 points. And then by that logic, I just got to throw this in there. I think Notre Dame would be a favorite over a lot of these teams. No, but yet then you go back to the whole deserving factor.
I agree, because it's what are we going by what's deserving or our gut? Because what's deserving is Oklahoma and Texas over Notre Dame.
Their biggest factor is strength of schedule.
I know, but if we're going by deserving, Texas, Oklahoma over Notre Dame. If we're going by gut, Notre Dame at 10. But if we're going by gut, there's no way BYU's the 7th best team in the country. But they're the most deserving, so put them at 7. So that's where I get confused. Because are we going by?
I think people would burn the world to the ground if you put them at 14, where they probably deserve to be.
Yeah, but hey, they've taken care of business. So put them at 7.
Do you know that their rushing and passing per game is almost exactly equal? They rush for 216.5 yards, and they pass for 216.7. You're talking 0.2 of a difference throughout the season.
That's crazy. I think Ole Miss deserves to be at 6. I think Ole Miss deserves to be at 6.
I think 6 through 1 are non-negotiable. I think that they shouldn't be in any different order. I think that they've almost set their foundation in that order, which is a little bit funky. So I've seen people arguing that Ohio State shouldn't be at 1.
So Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss. Yeah, I don't know how you don't put Ohio State at 1. I know Indiana has that win over Oregon, but man, I don't know. Like, Ohio State is just
until you can dethrone them. I don't think that you can do that. Someone's got to compete with them. Someone's got to make it a 1-possession game at some point.
I've got the bracket right here. This is CBS CBS Sports predicted the bracket based off the college football playoff ranking.
I'm gonna write this down, Johnny, and then you and I are briefly gonna go through it and talk about key matchups.
Okay, first game 12-5, Memphis versus Georgia.
Huh.
The winner would play Bama. Then 9-8, Oregon versus Texas Tech. The winner would play Ohio State. That would be crazy because that would mean Oregon and Ohio State would meet in the second round 2 years in a row, which is kind of a shame. The next matchup, Virginia versus Ole Miss. The winner plays A&M. And then Notre Dame versus BYU. The winner would play Indiana, which would be another matchup for you guys.
Yeah. So where did they get that from? They're saying that Virginia won the ACC.
Yeah, and then Memphis gets in. Memphis is the best group of 5.
Okay.
So they're saying for you, Texas Tech and BYU both get in, which is kind of that's too.
I don't disagree. I think that it goes 5 from the SEC. I think it goes 5. Yeah, I think it goes 5, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. So 5 from the SEC, 3 from the Big 10, 2 from the from the Big 12, 1 from the ACC, Notre Dame, big non-power 4. So if we were to do this hypothetical, and there's going to be a lot that changes from now until Thanksgiving, Johnny, or the week after Thanksgiving when this is official. Memphis, Georgia, that's obviously not going to be a crazy good game. I would take Georgia 9 times out of 10, or probably 99 out of 100. I don't love this bracket because I would hate to see Georgia Bama and I would hate to see Oregon OSU. But
yeah, a lot of rematch from last year. I think Notre Dame, Indiana would be a good game. I know we saw it last year. That would be a good game. I think Ole Miss A&M would be a good game. Oregon, I don't know. I think this would be a fun bracket. Even Oregon, Texas Tech.
I want to see in brackets. I want answers. Right? I don't want to see 2 SEC matchups back to back. I don't want to see Big 10 matchups again. I want to see Big 10 versus SEC. I want to see Big 10 against Big 12. I think that this bracket would favor Notre Dame tremendously again if we got into this spot.
I don't know. Indiana's
better this year. Yes, but I think that is probably out of – I don't want to see Bama and I don't want to see Ohio State. Any other team I'm not that afraid of seeing.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Indiana looks good. Indiana looks so good.
I'm not saying we can beat them. I'm just saying out of the 4 dragons that are 1 through 4, Indiana or A&M are the 2 that I'd want to see in round 2.
Fair. That's fair. I don't know. You're an Indiana guy though, so I don't know.
So Johnny, we'll move on to our
winners and losers.
Picks. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Winners and losers. Go for it.
Okay, we got some fun ones this week. The first winner. Let me get the score up for you. The first winner of the week is
You better not say Billy O'Brien.
Nah, that would have been awesome. We should talk about that. But we won't. Is Rich Rodriguez beating Houston 45-35. I saw an article on yahoosports.com that talked a lot about Rich Rodriguez, and West Virginia guy, Country Roads Take Me Home, had that incredible run with West Virginia. They had guys like Pat Smith, Tavon Austin. That offense was incredible. They were the number 2 team in the country before they lost to Pitt, got upset. What a time to be alive in college football. He was so big being a hometown guy. In his hometown, they put up a sign that said Rich Rodriguez was born here. And the whole state loved him. Then famously, he also helped invent the read option. That's a great story.
Yep.
Look it up. But he leaves. He leaves to go to Michigan, and West Virginia hates him. They vandalize the sign. They take it down. Rich Rodriguez didn't work out at Michigan, didn't work out at Arizona, but he's found his way back to West Virginia. And guess what? The sign is up. They brought the sign back. They beat number 22 in the country, Houston. Emotional win. Winner of the week, Rich Rodriguez. Love a homecoming story. The next one I'm going to say, shout out Matt Pittman, Chapel Bill, getting his first ACC win, 27-10 over Syracuse. Are we thinking heat check on Fran Brown? I know Stephen Jelly got hurt, but Syracuse, man, not great. 3 3-6. It doesn't look good when you're making your team do wind sprints after beating UConn. I don't know. It's a hardo move, but Chapel
Super hard
Bill.
move. He's undeniably a really good coach. He's going to end up at Auburn next year. On to the next.
Wow, that's a good one. Chapel Bill, big win though. Next, third winner of the week. You Patches, you're the winner of the week because Navy lost 31-17. You hate the armed forces after last week.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm joking. I'm just joking. You just said you weren't afraid of
what
Navy.
a slow roll.
I'm joking. I just had to mess with you. But yeah, that was a big win for North Texas. Morris, he looks like he's going to get a better job next year. Second win of the week, NC State. Probably the weirdest story in college football this year. Incredible wins over Georgia Tech and Virginia. But
yeah.
they're like what 500 team at best. So kind of weird those two. But also another great story in college football. That win over Virginia was a non-conference game, which is the greatest fact about college football this year, is that Virginia and NC State, both proud ACC teams, have a 2-year non-conference agreement. Don't know how that even makes sense, but that rocks. Loses the week, my first one, referees. I don't know if anyone was locked into the Ohio State-Penn State game. Caleb Downs did one of the most egregious targeting calls of all time, straight face mask to face mask. Somehow that's not targeting. Make that make sense to me. I don't know.
Top of the head, I think, is the rule.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude. He smoked the guy. He should be suspended the first week next week. Tremendous player, whatever. And my last loser of the week is Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
Losing 10-3 to Kentucky. Now his golf tee times are being brought up. It's getting ugly down in Auburn. But, him getting fired. Yeah, you got fired. Yeah, after no, I'm saying losing 10-3 and getting fired, loser of the week. I think Auburn is one of the least desirable jobs in the country because you see now that him getting fired, tee times are getting brought up. Remember Brian Harsin from Boise?
Yeah.
When they wanted him out, boosters were like making up him having like an affair with his secretary. Like it's crazy down there. It's insane. I don't know. I don't think I could put up with those boosters. So loser of the week is Hugh Freeze in Auburn, but incredible.
I'm glad he's gone. I didn't like Hugh Freeze. I thought he was the most fraudulent coach to ever get a Power 4 job. I didn't think he deserved anything at Liberty. I have no idea how he somehow revived his career. He's a sleazebag. It's very well documented how much of a sleazebag he is. It doesn't surprise me. Auburn is a really good job in terms of recruiting. They have a hell of a team. Whoever they get in there, if he can just keep 75% of his team, they will have a really talented roster next year.
I don't think he can, though.
I don't think
the transfer portal's crazy. The transfer portal is always going to be like guys are just like foot in the portal now for them. I don't know. It's hard.
No, you're spot on, Johnny. Those were awesome winners and losers. I'm excited for next week's. We are just going to fly through our picks of the week. Once again, this week is not a great week for big matchups. That usually follows a really intense week. What we thought was going to be one of the best in college football for the season. But with that comes upsets. So we have Indiana is heading to Penn State. Penn State is a 14-point underdog. Excuse me.
You want me to go? I thought you were going to usually make your pick.
Those are your boys.
I was waiting for you. Usually make your pick and I go off you. Oh,
geez,
give me Penn State to cover. I'm never going to pick that. They're going to get blown out. Man, we got NFL talent on the field. Let's go. Let's get to Fernando Mendoza. I'm not saying we're going to win, but I'm going to cover. They got to play that game in Happy Valley. And guess what? We got this wig on the line, baby. Let's go. Win it for me.
This would screw a lot of things up. I'm curious, will Curt Cignetti ever drop a game that he's not supposed to? You know what else isn't getting talked about is that the JMU head coach, forgetting his name, he went from Holy Cross, is now in talks of being a big Power 4 coach next year, that he might get one of the big jobs.
Bob Chesney. Also, James. Wait, what you said? Holy Cross, right?
Yeah, he came from Holy Cross.
And then Assumption before that. His rise is insane. If he goes D1, it's crazy because he went Assumption to Holy Cross to JMU to Power 4. That'd be insane.
Yeah, it'd almost be like pound for pound, exactly what, similar to what Kurt did. BYU is heading to Texas Tech. If BYU can run the football, Johnny, I don't see a world in which they don't cover the game. It's weird. When I envision this game, I either envision a BYU win or I see a blowout by Texas Tech, who defines themselves as the number one team in the country. Spoiler alert, I'm picking BYU in the upset. They are my Cheesecake Factory pick of the week.
Love it.
Mostly because I need to get this 10 points back. And I do think that they have a shot. I think if they can control the line of scrimmage, I think if they can run the ball, they are getting doubted left and right. This line doesn't make sense to me. I feel like the world is going to kind of be betting on BYU, and I'm with them.
Yeah. No, I love that. I'm picking Texas Tech to win this game. I'm picking them to cover. I think they're going to beat the hell out of BYU. I love Bear Backmeyer, but I don't know. Texas Tech, Bear and Morton. I think this team's a really great team. They did a lot in the portal. We've talked about a lot. That pass rush is so legit, and so give me Texas Tech.
Next game, a very important game for two teams. Oregon is heading to Iowa, a game that is not going to be talked enough about. I think that this could be a really, really good spot for Oregon to solidify themselves as a top 5 team in the country. They're going to be fired up like nothing we've ever seen come out of Oregon. And with that being said, give me Iowa.
Crazy. That's insane. To cover, to win.
To cover.
No,
I will sprinkle that money line. Everything in my body is telling me not to, but I'm heading to Vegas next week, and I think they're 2.5 to 1. I'll throw a mortgage payment down. I'll double it. The whole trip is free.
I'm going to Oregon with the points. I don't know, man. This team is too talented. I just don't think Iowa's going to be able to score. What's it, Gronowski, the guy from South Dakota State? I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball well enough against Oregon. Oregon's got freaks on offense. Kenyon Sadiq,
I don't think you're ready for the conversation in the world that Iowa wins, but you're going to have to be ready for next week.
Dude, I've been to hell and back. I'm good. I've been to hell and back this year.
Yeah, this season,
nothing can hurt me. Nothing can hurt me anymore, man. What's dead may never die. Like, let's go.
I don't talk enough about this. When I was watching the Penn State Oregon game, I was driving home, and of course I wasn't watching it while driving or anything. I was listening to it per se. There was a smile that came over my face because I knew deep down when Oregon won that this season was going to be it for you. And I know that sounds pretty evil. That probably sounds really evil, but it's just funny how it all played out. I could see the same thing happening with this Iowa game where we're like sitting here, it's 31-10 Iowa somehow, some way. And we're saying, what the hell just happened?
Iowa's going to score 31 points?
Johnny, they're not that offensively challenged.
You're drunk, Patch.
They're not that offensively challenged, Johnny.
No, dude, you're drunk, man. There's no way.
Hold on. They dropped 47 on UMass, a really talented
UMass. No, UMass hasn't won a game. They lost to Bryant.
They dropped 40 on Rutgers.
Okay.
37 against Wisconsin, excuse me. How many did your boys drop against Wisconsin?
Wisconsin. Okay, dude. Come on.
Hold on.
Dante Moore was hurt. We had a backup quarterback for most of that game.
Hold on. All jokes aside, you're going to say they can't drop 31 points. They dropped 41 on Minnesota, 41-3. That's kind of a slaughter.
Okay, you want to bet they score 31 points then?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it. What do you want to bet?
Okay, you have a wig if Indiana beats Penn State. What would you like me to do?
I'll tell you. I don't know. Let me think about that.
Yeah, think of something good.
Okay, I will. Okay.
So then we have Navy at Notre Dame. We have LSU at Alabama, spread of 10 points. Bama has taken 10 out of the last 12. They're not losing this one. 10 points is enough. You can run the ball on Bama. They do not have a good front seven. The problem with that is LSU legitimately can't run a football. The only thing that could possibly keep LSU in this game is the fact that they're playing for heart and soul, right? Their season's over. Their coach was fired. They're playing because they're putting everything on the line because screw you, Bama. Last year's Bama LSU game was 38-13.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think started the fire Brian Kelly chance. But I'm taking Bama all the way here.
Yeah, I'm taking Bama. I just don't think
rooting for LSU, but I see Bama rolling. Next game, Navy heading to Notre Dame. This game holds a special place in my heart. First time I ever saw Notre Dame in Notre Dame Stadium was against Navy. We won 42-14. Both teams were undefeated, 7-0 or 5-0 at the time. Notre Dame is a massive favorite at 26.5 points. This is a get back spot, but with that being said, I think that's too many points. I would take the over. I think the over is at 55. I love that line, but I will take Notre Dame for this one.
Oh, I'm taking Navy, man. Veterans Day is on Tuesday. Let's go. Come on. Let's get up for this. Let's go. We can do this, Navy. Hoorah. Let's go. Come on.
And then lastly, we have Nebraska at UCLA. Only reason I included this, UCLA is a 1.5 point favorite, practically a pick 'em. I did not, when I wrote this down, I did not realize that Dylan Raiola was out for the season. That is on me. With that being said, Nebraska season's dead in the water. Give me UCLA.
Yeah. I'll go UCLA too. They're fun. They play fun football games.
Yeah. So, Johnny, we're going to do our quick parlay picks and then hater picks of the week. So my parlay is 4 teams. I like Indiana minus 14.5. No disrespect. I like Iowa plus 6.5. Florida minus 3 seems like the best bet that I could possibly have. There's no way that Kentucky keeps up with them. Mark Stoops does not have the dogs rolling. And then I like UCLA money line. $10 pays 114. I think there's good value there. I think Iowa is the biggest question mark, but I do like this parlay.
My parlay is plus 587. 10 wins you 70 or 68 by round up. My first leg is Georgia minus 8.5 at Mississippi State. Yeah. Then it's Oregon minus 6.5 at Iowa. And then A&M minus 6.5 at Mizzou. I like this parlay. I like those favorites. Visitor favorites. And then I'm going to go Cheesecake Factory pick of the week is FSU plus 2.5 at Clemson. I think Clemson is a dead team. And I think Castellanos, has that dog in him.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson's always been the big brother of the ACC, so everyone's just trying to chase them down, even though they're having a pretty bad season. What Dabo said in his press conference the other day was top 3 cringiest things I've ever read in my life. I don't know what's going on. I bet Clemson is trying to fundraise to fire him, but I don't know what's going on there. We could talk about that for another 40 minutes. We haven't even talked about that, or the coaching carousel, because that is a topic I was told to not revisit. So we have our hater picks of the week. We have 2 listeners who hate on everything that we say. They text us their picks every single week. We call them the haters picks of the weeks. This is now a new segment that people love. So Keith, our dear friend, had a terrible day at work, but he texted me his picks anyway. We fought through
so good. So brave.
It is well
so brave.
Yeah, he is incredibly brave. This is his text, word for word. It is well documented that I love to preach buy low and sell high. There's not a better spot to buy low on this week than tailing my picks. I went 2 for 6 last week. Woof. Best bet is a push only because Vegas made the call in that 2-point conversion was BS for Vandy. 4-2 in my last 6 best bets, and boy, do I love this one. Mizzou plus 6.5 at home versus A&M. I may sound like an Aggie hater at this point, but this pick is more about my liking of the Tigers in general. Both of their losses were by 3 points, and both games were great opponents. This is too good a value to pass. This line should be 2.5, not 6.5. Sprinkle that plus 220 money line. He loves UConn, plus 9.5 at Duke. Jim Mora has got to be one of the most underrated coaches in all of the land. Why is he not in the conversation for these national power job openings? All 3 of his losses this year are in OT. Want to give me almost double digits? Sprinkle that plus 260. Cal plus 20 against Louisville. Not giving up on my Golden Bears after I had them outright against Virginia last week. Props to Coach Braum, but this team just isn't good enough to justify this line against a bowl-eligible team. Mississippi State plus 8.5. Takes a lot for me to bet against my dogs, and I won't place a wager, but this has an upset written all over it. Mississippi State is 7-1 against the spread this year, and UGA hasn't proven to be able to blow anyone out, let alone, I think, a team that could be in the playoff picture if they were in the ACC. That's a bold statement.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oregon minus 6.5. Keith, you really texted a book. I'm getting winded here. Oregon minus 6.5 at Iowa. Seems like people are down on Oregon all of a sudden. I really see them talked about, especially in the convo to win the Natty. Iowa is extremely overrated and should not be ranked. Notre Dame versus Navy, over 55.5. I rarely bet overs. I'm a huge under guy. Eating my words a little bit, but thinking Notre Dame would put up 50 against BC, but I think this offense bounces back and Navy scores enough to get this game to this game's over to hit. 45-17 type game. Good luck, boys. Bonus trivia question. Who is the only FBS team this year to currently be undefeated against the spread? My immediate answer was Texas Tech because I believe they were 5-0 against the spread, and then they lost to Arizona State. So I'm not sure who it is.
Undefeated against the spread.
Is it BYU?
No. Wait, did he give you the answer?
He did not. He did not.
That sucks. Wait, you saying BYU? I kind of like BYU. I'm trying to think. BYU. What about like Virginia? Maybe. I feel like Virginia, Georgia, not Georgia Tech. They lost. No, but no. Louisville. I kind of like an ACC team. Who is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe Indiana. I don't know. No, definitely not Indiana. I know that.
Hey, thanks, Keith. But okay, let's go on to Matt. Short and sweet here. My hater favorites because I hate sports and the same teams always win and there's nothing we can do about it. And it's going to be Alabama versus Ohio State in the national championship. Moving forward, Indiana minus 14.5, Georgia minus 8.5, A&M minus 6.5, Oregon minus 6.5, Vandy minus 6.5, and Bama minus 10.5. This guy is jaded, and he might be right. It might be Bama against Ohio State because the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, Matthew, normally I want to physically fight you over your picks, but I actually really like your picks this week so much, in fact, that I might put them all in a parlay and I will donate 10% of my winnings to you as long as we go out to dinner together on those winnings. But I really agree with you. I think that Alabama is a really good team. I think Ohio State is a really good team. I actually really like A&M in this spot as well. So I'm not going to disagree with you much on this one.
Awesome.
All right, boys. Well, Johnny, thank you for joining me this week. I really pray to goodness gracious that we get football this weekend, or else I am going to drive to the YouTube and Disney headquarters and start negotiating that deal myself.
Yeah, prayers up that they can come to a deal before Saturday.
Oh, fingers crossed. All right, Johnny.
See you later,
we'll see you then.
Bye.